How's it going, Rogues Gallery, and welcome to another Grand Archive video here on Red Zone Rogue. I just got back from the first ever Grand Archive trading card game creators summit, where they debuted their brand new multiplayer format, Pantheon, which is the topic of today's video. We gotta talk about Pantheon. We'll talk a little bit about the Creator Summit itself, but the main star of the show was the Pantheon format itself. Now, if you haven't been following all of my social media, if you don't know everything that went down at the Creator Summit, I'll probably do like a quick little recap video of that in a separate video, but today I want to talk all about the debut format, Pantheon. This is a multiplayer format that is meant to be played with 4 players that has a bunch of different rules than regular Grand Archive. It's not just a Commander version for Grand Archive. It's a fundamentally different way to play, other than having like the multiplayer aspect. You start with things in play that you don't normally start with. You have access to really powerful cards that you don't normally have access to, both in deck and outside of deck with the new boons. So we're going to talk about Pantheon today. We're also going to go over and discuss all 4 of the new Pantheon pre-constructed decks. I have all 4 of them. We're going to talk about what comes in the decks, similarities between the decks, cards that I think are staples, how the decks play, all of that. We've already done like a, impromptu opening, on site. But I really want to talk about the decks because I spent a ton of the past weekend playing Pantheon. I've played at least a dozen games of Pantheon, both with the pre-constructed decks and with like more tuned decks. So I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of how the format plays. If you were wondering my general thoughts on the starter decks here, should you pick them up? Are they worth it for you? Overall, yeah, I think you should. I'm not entirely sure about monetary value, as in most of the value from these are actually going to come from new cards, both that are going to be in the Radiant Origins set as well as Pantheon specific cards in these. There's not a ton of like extremely valuable reprints or anything like that, but as a jumping in point to Grand Archive specifically for the Pantheon format, I think they're perfect. They come chock full of what I think is going to become Pantheon staples, including like, I don't know, some absolutely cracked stuff for Pantheon. And they also just include a ton of staple cards for Grand Archive. Not necessarily expensive cards, but just cards that you need to play just Grand Archive in general. So if you're new to the game at all, if you need a place to start, this is like absolutely perfect, especially if you want to play Pantheon. But I do highly recommend these, even at that $40 MSRP. I like to think of these kind of like old Magic the Gathering Commander decks. It gives me a lot of similar vibes. Yeah, I think it's pretty great. If I didn't already have them, I would be purchasing them for myself because I think they're a good, jumping in point, but maybe not the most powerful thing. Once again, we'll talk about the how the decks play and the power level and all that kind of stuff. And then just generally speaking, my thoughts about Pantheon. I absolutely love the Pantheon format. I think it does just enough to make it really fresh and really unique from the 1v1 version of Grand Archive, which I think is extremely needed because 1v1 Grand Archive is very, very, very competitive, which, some people that can be a very big turnoff. Maybe you just want to play some card games with your friends in a chill environment. I think Pantheon gives you that avenue to do so. Though I do kind of find it funny just how many like top professional players were at the Creator Summit, given that they were debuting their like hyper casual format. I don't know, I just thought that was kind of funny. But anyway, I do think the format is incredibly fun. If you are the kind of person, once again, who's looking to get into Grand Archive, and especially a casual way, I think this is perfect. Also, if you're the kind of person who maybe already plays Grand Archive and you want to play a format where you can just get to level 3 and do your cool, weird, advanced element stuff. I'm looking at you, Tenoris players, or just basically anyone if you want to play Terra or whatever. This is a great avenue to do so, the perfect avenue to do so. Just because of how some of the brand new mechanics that are coming into Pantheon work, like the new barrier. You basically start with a 6 health point life buffer to you and like all of your stuff, because it absorbs damage to all of your allies too. So it kind of just makes games last longer. So if you're, once again, looking to get into that late game level 3 stuff, this is absolutely perfect for you. It also means that the games do last quite a while. I would say the average Pantheon game that I played was about an hour to an hour and a half. Probably closer to the hour and a half side. And this is with like fully tuned decks. I played a bunch with fully tuned decks, a bunch with incredibly good Grand Archive players. So I can imagine playing this with less skilled players, less tuned decks is going to take a lot longer. And by like, you know, good Grand Archive players, I'm talking about like the World Championship, second place person, Dan from Main Deck, the lead designer for Grand Archive, other head designers for the game, like the best, some of the best players in the world, essentially for Grand Archive. So if those games are taking like an hour and a half, then, you know, it can you know, you can extrapolate that to what your experience might be. So there's that. So that can be construed as maybe a negative. They do take a while to play, or maybe a positive depending if you like the longer games. However, I was told by Silidar, the creator of Grand Archive and the lead designer for the game, that Radiant Origins, the set that's coming out next to Pantheon, will actually help with that. There's going to be a lot of powerful cards printed, some of them specifically for Pantheon. And by specifically, I mean, and I'll show this when we get to the top down, there are cards that are like, they say Pantheon on them. You can only play them in Pantheon. You can't play them in 1v1. So like, quite literally specifically for Pantheon, that will help speed things up, which I think is really, really good. Because things can get a little bit dirtily. If everyone's trying to be nice and, oh, everyone can draw cards, yada yada, it can take forever. I ended up making myself the bad guy most of the time because I'm like, I'm brought on, I want to stay here for 2 hours. So I'm attacking, we're going in. Still, I had a blast. Like, even though they took like, you know, hour to an hour and a half, up to like the pre-con games took like 2 hours plus, I still had an absolute blast, incredibly fun. Some of the most fun I've ever had playing Grand Archive. That's saying a lot because I love Grand Archive. It's one of the main games that we cover here. So I have like almost nothing but good things to say about Pantheon. There's so many awesome ways that you can tailor your deck. And I mentioned this already, but the boons and the barrier and the Pantheon only stuff genuinely change how, not only that you play the game, but also how you build your decks. Like at a fundamental core level, they change how you build your decks. And not just because like, oh, I can play around this effect. No, literally, it's like, one of the boons is like, you gain this class. So like your champion is now also a mage. So now you can build your deck with that in mind, that your you know, champion is now like an assassin mage. Or there's other ones that are like, you now have the water element enabled for you. So you can make like a wind water deck. They literally fundamentally change how you build decks, how you play. Some of the other boons have just crazy effects where you like roll dice and do whatever the dice say. There is like a common assassin one where you can pay some cost and get prep counters on your champion, so you can actually get guaranteed prep counter generation. It's wild. They kind of went deep on this one. So yeah, let's go ahead and get even deeper. We're going to go ahead and jump into our top down, and we're going to showcase the 4 pre-constructed Pantheon decks. I'm going to tell you a little bit about each of them and how they play, maybe a little bit of complexity. I'm going to show you the cards that are shared between them, because there's actually a big chunk of cards that come in all of the decks. And then talk about, you know, some of the cards that are reprinted, some of the alternate arts, just kind of get into the Pantheon pre-cons, because once again, I love Pantheon. It's going to be the main way that I personally play Grand Archive going forward. And I can't wait to see what they do with Pantheon as a format, both in terms of organized play and in terms of prizing. You know, they've already mentioned that we're going to get like, oh, maybe you can get like foil boons or something like that at an Ascent, but I want to see it in practice. Show me the money. So in any case, let's go ahead. We'll jump into our top down and talk more about Pantheon. Let's do it. What matters at the end is how you left the mark. Wait up. Fire in my soul, fire in my heart, till you see me on the other side of stars. I'm running. Oh, the journey starts somewhere with that first step. So before we get into these too much, I kind of want to do a quick breakdown of each of the decks in terms of like how it plays and complexity levels. We're going to start off by talking about Lorraine first. So I think the Lorraine deck is a pretty straightforward deck. You just play a lot of allies and you attack your opponent. If you're the kind of person who wants to play dudes and be aggressive, both with attacking with, your champion, because Lorraine also likes to bring the swords to the fights, and allies, this is a deck for you. I would say this is on the simpler side of decks to play. Next up, we have Xander Blinding Steel. This deck, I would say, is more of like a mid-rangey value style deck. If you like mid-range, if you like gaining life, if you like kind of playing a little bit of it to the long game, this one's for you. It does have a lot of big burst potential with some of the new cards that we'll talk about a little bit later. But I would say this one's kind of in the middle of the road. I'd say it's like medium difficulty. Once you kind of get what you're doing, it's not too bad, and you have some degree of protection as well. Next up, we have the Arasana deck. I really liked this one. I think this one is my favorite one to play. This one, I would say it's like medium to difficult to play. There's a lot of potion brewing in this deck, which require you to make some herb tokens, and you sack the herbs, and then you brew potions, and you get additional effects. You also really, really want to build up your Polaris Twinkling Cauldron card. Yes, we do get a copy of Polaris here, and this basically just means you want to make a lot of herbs, sack the herbs, and then you can blow up the cauldron and it deals damage to everyone's stuff, and then you shuffle in these cosmic bolts for every herb that you popped with the Polaris, or for every counter that was on Polaris. And so basically you shuffle all these cosmic bolts into your deck, and the cosmic bolts deal damage for every cosmic bolt that is in your banishment or graveyard. So this is just a great win condition. You basically just try to Star Call into your cosmic bolts, and Star Call lets you play the cards as you're glimpsing them from the top of your deck. It's a little bit more complicated. You kind of do need to know how the mechanics work, but I think once you get the hang of it, it's honestly not too bad. So this is a deck that I think is very strong, and I would say this was like medium to hard to play, but once you kind of get to the swing of things, it's very, very good. And then finally, we have the Kong Ming deck. This is, I'm just gonna say, it's a mage control deck, right? This is the most big brain deck out of all of them. There's a lot of stuff that have to do with shifting currents, which is a mechanic unique to Kong Ming, where you literally shift your currents around and your cards will do things based on the direction that the currents are facing. This is the most complicated deck. It does have big bursty turns where you can deal a ton of damage to your opponent. But it's also the most difficult one to play by far. And if you're looking at these decks and you're like, which one should I get? If you're like, I want the most complicated, big brain, spell slingery deck, hey, get Kong Ming, get Kong Ming. If you're like, I want like it's not as big brain spell slingery deck, get Arasana. If you're like, I want aggro, get Lorraine. If you're like, I want something kind of in the middle with some intricacy, get Xander. I think there's something here for everyone. And here we have some cards that I've kind of like picked out of each deck. Essentially, I picked out all of the SRs, all of the Pantheon exclusive cards that aren't the boons and stuff, which we'll talk about separately, as well as all the cards that come in every single deck. Now, there are some cards that come in most of the decks, right? So for example here, let's go ahead and take a look at the Lorraine deck. I was lucky and got a foil Lorraine. This is a 1 in 8 chance to get a foil. Most of them will be non-foil like Arasana here. And the foil ones are just kind of like a little bit extended. So I got lucky. I kind of got the the gotcha champion here. So some cards will appear in most decks. So like this Break Apart actually appears in 3 of these decks. However, this Break Apart has art unique to the Lorraine deck because it features Lorraine. So if I take that and I go and check out the Arasana deck, well, Ari also has a Break Apart featuring art with Ari. Same is true for Disenchant. So here's a Disenchant. 3 of the decks come with Disenchant. This one features art with Arasana, Ari, Arasana, Arisana. The Xander deck also comes with a Disenchant, but this one, new art featuring Xander, but Xander does not come with Break Apart. So that kind of stuff. Some of the decks just have cards, that are in all of them, for example, or in most of them. But there are 12 cards, these 12 cards, that come in every single one of these decks. And these cards, it's really good that they chose to put these in all the decks, because if they didn't, some of these would be very expensive, or they would make the decks more desirable than any other deck, if it only came in like one of the decks. So we're going to go over these cards. Some of them are just reprints, but some of them, like Equinox Hour, are 100% Pantheon staples that are also sometimes not exclusive to Pantheon. So Equinox Hour is a brand new card. It's a 0-cost Regalia item. You banish it, then you draw a card, and then target opponent may materialize a card from the material deck. And they still have to pay for the costs. This comes in every single, once again, all 12 of these cards come in every single deck here. This is so good in Pantheon because you can use this as a bargaining chip. You can use this as a way to make an alliance with someone. It's a multiplayer game, right? And so you can use this for politics. You can be like, okay, I'll use my Equinox Hour. If you specifically materialize your Equinox Hour, crack it immediately, and then choose me as the effect. So I would get to draw a card. My opponents would get a free card as well, but then I would get to materialize another card. You can use this, kind of to your advantage. Well, definitely to your advantage. And once again, comes in all of these decks. This one, unlike some of the other cards, does not say Pantheon only. So you can actually put this in any deck, even in a 1v1. Though in 1v1, it's a little bit more dubious. There is a card that only comes in the Lorraine deck. That's Charm of Anticipation. So this one is a 0-cost Regalia item. You banish it and you draw a card, but you can only activate this if you have the Crowd's Favor status. Now, the Crowd's Favor status is a brand new thing to Pantheon. We'll talk about that as well, because we're going to talk about all the cards that generate the Crowd's status. It's basically a status that you have after you do a card that does it, and it makes it more difficult for people to attack you. So this one only comes in the Lorraine deck, which maybe might give the Lorraine deck a little bit of an edge over some of these other decks if you don't care about any of the other cards. And it does have down here a little thing that says Pantheon, which means you can only play this in Pantheon. But this is essentially like a Grand Crusader's Ring for Pantheon. I kind of think of the Equinox Hour as the GCR for Pantheon, but this one also is up there. So let's go ahead and talk about the other cards. It doesn't matter which pile I grab, because like I said, they'll all come in the decks. Pendant of Accrual. This one is cracked and also not a Pantheon exclusive. In fact, this one is an SR that will be in Radiant Origins. Once again, not a Pantheon exclusive. Costs 2, and it says at the beginning of each opponent's recollection phase, they may pay 2. If they don't, you put a debt counter on this. Then you can rest this and remove 2 debt counters and then draw a card into your memory. This is kind of like, people are already calling it, the Rhystic Study of Grand Archive, or the Rhystic Study of Pantheon. Once again, comes in all the decks. Otherwise, this would be extremely expensive. And it's an SR from RDO. So, not exclusive to this. You could open this in a booster pack from RDO. Also noted, not Pantheon exclusive. You can play this in 1v1. We also have Stocked Outpost. It's a 2-cost siegeable domain with 4 health, and on enter you draw a card into your memory, and then if your opponent destroys your Stocked Outpost, they get to draw a card if they destroy it on their turn, which is kind of cool. We also have Shade Striker, really simple card. It's just a 2/3 with Ambush, a 3-cost 2/3 with Ambush. Ambush in Pantheon is really good because it just says this ally may retaliate against attackers while not defending. It doesn't specify who's attackers. So even if you're not being attacked, you can still retaliate and ambush something that someone else is doing. So if person A is attacking person B and you're person C, you can still retaliate, which is really cool. So I like this card quite a bit. And once again, it's on all the decks. We also have Nimble Court Assassin. This is a 5-cost 4/4 with Ambush and Vigor, and on enter you gain Agility 3. This is actually kind of a house. It is EX, right? So you have to be level 3 or have an advanced element enabled to play this. But this is actually way better than it looks in Pantheon. The ability to have Ambush, once again, is very strong, and Vigor, also very strong, and then you also get Agility 3. This is a really solid one. It's just a rare from RDO, but still really solid. This one is another really, really big one. Sanctified Paladin. It's a new super rare. Once again, not Pantheon exclusive, so you could technically play this in 1v1. And once again, these are all cards that are in Radiant Origins. You can open this up in a booster pack. You don't have to buy the starter decks to get this, but it is an SR. It is a 6-cost 0/1 with Foster. And it says, as long as Sanctified Paladin is fostered, it gets +3/+3 and has Vigor. And then on Foster, you draw 2 cards. So if you don't remember what Foster does, because, I mean, who plays with Foster cards other than, like, I don't know, diehard Tony players? Foster basically means If it comes back to your turn and this thing has not taken any damage at all, then it becomes fostered, like permanently. So it gets the +3/+3 and has vigor, and you draw 2. So basically, this is like the best turn 1 play you can do in Pantheon, because once again, you have that barrier that absorbs 6 damage, both to you and all of your allies. So it's really, really difficult to kill someone's Sanctified Paladin if they play it on turn 1. They would need some sort of like spot removal. Any of the things that give like minus health would be really good against this, which I think they're going to end up being really good in Pantheon in general. But yeah, this is a great turn 1 play. Maybe the perfect turn 1 play for Pantheon, because you can immediately get your 3/4 with Vigor and draw 2 cards. It's really good. It's really good. This is kind of like a staple in every Pantheon deck, in my opinion. Luckily, all the decks come with it. This one, also kind of a staple. It's a 1/4 for 3, and as long as it's attacking a domain, it gets an additional +3, and the shields are domains. So this is, at the start of the game, this is attacking for 4, which is really good. So this is a great domain killer, or a great shield burster. Shared Fervor is another staple you're going to want to put in every single Pantheon deck. It's a 1-cost slow speed action. Each player draws a card into your memory, and then you gain the crowd's favor status. And so this is one of the cards that enables you to get the crowd favor status. Well, let's go over that now. So this is the crowd's favor. It's just a, it's not really a token, it's just like a status. It can't really be like destroyed or anything. It says, whenever an opponent gains the crowd's favor status, you lose the status. So only one person can have this at a time. And it says, players can't declare attacks targeting an object you control unless they pay 1 for each attack declaration. And whenever an activation, materialization, or trigger targets an object you control, you may negate it unless its controller pays 1. So anytime anyone wants to mess with you with anything, it costs an additional 1. If they want to attack you, costs 1 per attack. If they want to target you, costs 1 per target. It's really good. I wish I activated it more and got it more during the weekend. So this is one of the best ways to get it. It's a 1-cost card, everyone draws, and then you get the crowd's favor. It's insanely good. Once again, great that all the decks come with it. Here is Silver Soldier, a 3/4 for 3 with that has a EX that's exalted, and then it has Retort 2 and Vigor, just a nice little solid unit that comes in all the decks. They all come with the Piquant Shield Bearer, which is just a 1/4 taunt for 3, just a nice little defensive card. Comes in all the decks. Veteran Soldier, this is a reprint. It comes in all the decks, but what's kind of interesting about the Veteran Soldier, so this is the original art for the Veteran Soldier, but one thing I noticed for all these decks is if a card got printed and didn't have art for that character in the champion setting from the deck, then they reprinted it with new art in that setting, which I thought was kind of cool. So here is a Veteran Soldier with art from the... Oh, I'm trying to think of my Grand Archive lore. It's from the ALC area. So this one has this Veteran Soldier artwork, but then the Kongming, who's from Sanguo, I don't know why I remember Sanguo, but not not the other one. This one has Veteran Soldier with art from Sanguo. I thought that was a kind of a cool touch. So wherever the champion is from, or at least known from, they have art on the cards depicting that. And that's true for all of them. So you'll see other cards that have alternate art as well throughout the decks. I just thought it was a cool little touch. They didn't have to do it. They could have just used the same art, but they chose to do alternate art for all the stuff, which I thought was cool. All the decks also come with Imperial Countermeasure. It's a 1-drop fast speed, exalted. Prevent the next 4 damage that will be dealt to target unit this turn. Draw a card in your memory. Target unit is great. You can obviously protect your own stuff, but you can protect your opponent's stuff as well, which is really, really good in Pantheon. And so these are the 12 cards that every deck comes with. There's a handful of other ones that most of the decks come with, like I mentioned. So for example, most of the decks come with Break Apart. Most of them come with this Sacred Barrier card, which says the next time each ally would be dealt non-combat damage, prevent 4 of the damage. Really good at preventing board wipers. Let's see. There's just a handful of them. So like Nascent Barrier, I do believe we have a couple of decks that have Nascent Barrier. I think there's 2 decks that have Nascent Blast. I think the Arasana and Kongming both have Nascent Blast, but with different art. This one has Ari on it. Most of the decks have Idle Thoughts, but not all of them. Most of the decks have Disenchant or Break Apart, you know, that kind of stuff. So there's some that you know, that are in like 3 out of the 4, but not, you know, all of them. And then we also have all of, so those are the 12 that come in everything. Then I also wanted to talk about all of some of the more spicy cards that come in each of these. So the SRs and reprints and all of that kind of stuff. So let me go ahead and kind of like sort this real quick. At this point, I guess I probably should have showed this a lot earlier. There's probably a pop-up at some point, but I do just want to mention the Pantheon barrier. Once again, it is a siegeable barrier, a siegeable domain. Has Omni Shroud, and it has 6 health, and it says if damage will be dealt to another object you control, that damage is dealt to the barrier instead. So it just absorbs damage from all the stuff that you would take. Every single one of the Pantheon decks also comes with this specific lesser boon. So it says, as you gain this boon, put 6 durability counters on a siegeable domain you control, or put 3 durability counters on a siegeable domain you don't control. So basically what you do is if someone's about to destroy your barrier, you can pump it up by another 6. So technically the starter deck barriers have 12. They have 12 health, which is a lot to get through. So the way that these work is you just start the game with your barrier, and you also start the game with these in a new like boon zone. They're just kind of face down, and then you can play them whenever it says that you can play them. So for example, like I said, this one, it's a 0 cost, it's fast, and whenever you want to do it, you just play it. The boons use special timing. They cannot be interacted with or responded with. They are powers from the gods, so that's pretty great. So someone can't like get you, right? You can't just get, you know, rules sharked out of your Pantheon barrier. If someone's about to attack your barrier and destroy it, you can activate this, and they can't blow it up in response or anything like that. So that's great. And then we also have greater boons. So every deck in Pantheon, you have a lesser boon and a greater boon. So the greater boon for the Arasana deck it's so good. So it's a 5 cost, level locked 2. So you can only play this if your champion base level is 2 or higher. As you gain the boon, you draw a card. This one's slow speed. And this one just kind of sticks around. It says, whenever you summon 1 or more tokens with reserve cost 1 or less for the first time every turn, summon a copy of one of those tokens. So in Arasana, every time you gather and then you make an herb, I guess I should show like a higher level one. So say you have your ingredient pouch out, you're level 2, you activate your boon, then whenever you activate your ingredient pouch, you get 2 of the same herb, which is so good for Ari because of her level 2. Lets you sacrifice 2 of the same herb at the end of your turn and draw a card. This card is so good. It fundamentally changes how you play with Ari. You basically get an extra card every single turn, and it's not just for herbs, it's for every 1 cost or less token. So this actually also applies for like Astral Shard tokens, for example, if you're running those in a deck. So yeah, very cool. And each champion has like a different selection of boons. They all have the lesser boon of Parvati, but you know, let's kind of go over these really quickly just so you can kind of see. So here's the lesser of Parvati. Here's the greater of Parvati. This one is level locked 2. Costs 4. As you gain the boon, draw a card. And it says, Regalia you control have rest. Prevent the next 1 damage that will be dealt to target unit this turn. This one's kind of cracked as well. Turns all of your Regalia into damage prevention. All of it. So your Drawn Blade, damage prevention. Your Safeguard Amulet, damage prevention. And then more damage prevention. All of it. All of the Regalia is damage prevention. So yeah, this one's very sweet. So you kind of want to build a little bit around that. For Xander, we have, once again, Parvati. And then this one is the Greater Boon of Luxera. It's a 0 cost boon, and it has this ability called First Boon. And you definitely want to remember this, and don't forget, like I do. Because the first time I played this deck, I absolutely forgot. And it may or may not be on camera somewhere. So it says, bestow this boon at the beginning of the game before spirits enter. So when you play Pantheon, you just be like, hey, does anyone have any pre-game effects? If someone's playing First Boon, well, you do it. So this one says, as you gain this boon, choose a non-champion, non-Regalia card name. The next time you activate a card with the same name this game, draw 2 cards and recover 3. You can't generate cards with the chosen name. So basically, you just pick something that you think you're going to play at a time where it'd be nice to draw some cards and gain some life. Creative Shock's a nice one, because you'll draw the 2 cards, then you'll draw 2 cards from Creative Shock and discard a card, so have more selection, you know, that kind of stuff. This one's kind of just a more, you know, generic good boon. And then for Kong Ming, we have the Lesser Boon of Parvati. And then her Greater Boon is the Greater Boon of Shu. And once again, level locked 2. This costs 2 to play. As you gain the boon, draw a card. And this one's really simple as well. At the beginning of your recollection phase, glimpse 2. So that's a nice, just kind of like, I would call this like a standard boon that can go in like any deck. So those are the boons that come in the precons, but as I mentioned, there are boons that change or give you an additional class. There are boons that give you additional elements, a bunch of other crazy stuff. I actually have a boon here for Assassin, a different boon for Assassin. This is the lesser boon of Zarusa. I mentioned this in the video or in the introduction. 0 cost class locked, so you can only play this if you're an Assassin, and you pay 2 and put a prep counter on your champion, and then it costs 1 more to activate each time you've activated this game. So it'll cost 2 and then 3 and then 4 and then 5. It's really good. It's actually really good, especially for Tristan, where you want to get to those 4 prep counters so you can get the 2 card draw on her level 2. So yeah, it's sweet. So yeah, those are the boons. Let's talk about some more stuff. Let's go through each of these decks and talk about their SRs and their Pantheon specific cards. Let's go ahead and we'll just start with Arisana this time. So she has a brand new SR called the Essence Crucible. So we're going to go through all the SRs, including the reprints first, and then we'll go through the Pantheon only stuff. Also, I want to talk about, I'll showcase their Proxius Vault cards too, because both Arisana and Xander both have the Proxius Vault cards too. So if you've never had a real copy of Polaris, well, here you go. Comes in the Pantheon deck, which is pretty cool. So we have Essence Crucible. Like I said, brand new SR. Once again, it's not Pantheon only, so I do believe this will be in Radiant Origins and booster packs. It's a 1 cost on enter, draw a card. Arisana bonus, whenever you brew a card, put a refinement counter on Essence Crucible. If a spell source you control would deal damage to 1 or more units, it deals that much damage plus X, where X is the amount of refinement counters on Essence Crucible. So this is a brew payoff. So the more you brew, the more your spells will do damage. It's actually insane. It does so much freaking damage. So obviously the Arisana deck is a heavy brew-based deck, and this makes good use of that. We have another brand new SR. This card is so cool. It's one of the coolest new ones. Starlit Apothecary. A 3-cost unique domain cleric market. Arisana bonus at the beginning of your recollection phase. Summon a token copy of target potion or herb you control unless an opponent pays 4. If the summoned potion or if the summoned token is a potion, it becomes brewed. Sweet. So you get a free potion or herb every single turn. It's so sweet. There's also Twin Star Tonic. This one's nuts. This is a 12-cost potion. It says Arisana bonus brew, 2 Blightroot, 2 Silvershine, 2 Razorvine. You sack it, and for the rest of the game, whenever you star call a card, you may copy that activation. If you do, you may choose new targets for that copy. It'd be kind of crazy if you got a bunch of these and cracked them all, huh? So, once again, not Pantheon exclusive. Card is wild, but so good for Pantheon. It's so sweet. We have a reprint, Astromech Attendant. This is a super rare. I do believe this is from... was it from ALC or Mercurial Heart? I don't remember, but it's a 2-cost 2/3. On enter, you gather 3 times, which is great. And whenever you brew a potion, draw a card into your memory. So it's just more brew support. We have Meteor Strike, a staple for Arisana. Star calling 3. As long as it's being star called, it has deal 3 damage to all units except for your champion. Otherwise, it has destroy target non-champion object. Extremely good for Pantheon. Both of these modes, extremely powerful. We also have a brand new ally. This is the Alpha Filter Beast. It's a 3-cost Exalted element, so it's Norm Exalted, 2/3. It also has Brew, 3 herbs. And it says on enter, if it was brewed, you put 2 age counters on it. Whenever an opponent activates a card with reserve cost 3 or more, put an age counter on the Alpha Filter Beast, and then it gets +1/+1 for each age counters on it. So it's just a big chungus. So just big chungus. We also get a copy of Polaris. Once again, if you never had one of these before, here's a great way to get an official copy. I personally have just been using Lucky Yuki proxies. So this is actually my first real Polaris. So that's great. And then we also have some of the Pantheon-only cards that come in this deck that weren't the ones that we talked about before. So we already talked about some of the ones before, like the Shared Fervor that come in all the decks. So these ones are some Pantheon-only ones that come specifically... Well, I think one of these comes in... I think Samaritan's Reach also comes in Calling Me. But so this deck comes with Mend, Call, Mercy. 3-cost fast, class bonus, costs 1 less. Target player recovers X, where X is 3 times their champion's base level. If that player is an opponent, you gain the Crown's Favor status. So if you heal someone else, you get Crown's Favor. And then there is a Samaritan's Reach. Class bonus costs 1 less. We're Arisana, so we don't get the class bonus. Unless we make a deck where we also have Mage bonus too. And it says, deal 3 damage to target attacking ally you don't control. If that ally, pardon me, is attacking a unit you don't control, you gain the crowd's favor status. So if you blast something that's attacking someone else to help them, then you can get the crowd's favor. Usually crowd's favor, you get crowd's favor for helping someone else. That's kind of the gist I've got for that mechanic specifically. So that's all of the Arasana stuff we're gonna go over here. If you want to see like all the just cards individually in the deck, I did go over them all, or at least showed them all in the opening that we did. So I'm not gonna kind of like go over them in this video. This video is already gonna be long enough as it is. I just kind of give you an overall view of how the decks function. I'm not gonna read off every single card. So let's go on to the Lorraine deck. So Lorraine, we get the Quietest Blade. This is a 2-cost 2/3 a Regalia Weapon Warrior Sword class bonus. As long as there are no cards in your material deck, Quietest Blade gets +4, which is a lot, and then you can pay 3 and use it, and it also gains Spell Shroud until end of turn. You can put this in Merlin or whatever. It's class bonus warrior, so yeah, anyone that has Crux and can be a warrior. Attacking for 6 with a sword is quite good. We also get a reprint of Prismatic Edge. This is a nice one that's run in a ton of different decks, well, a ton of different Lorraine decks. This was only ever printed in the original starter deck, so having another version here is nice to have for folks coming into the game. We also have a brand new unique ally, Sabella Gossamer Penance. This one, once again, not Pantheon only, so comes in RDO's booster packs. 3-cost, 2/2. Class bonus on enter, choose a Sword Regalia card with memory cost 1 or less from your banishment, put it onto the field, put a bond counter on it, and it gets +2 as long as you control Sabella. And then when she leaves, you sacrifice each Regalia with a bond counter on it. So you just get one of your 1-cost things back. For the starter, like Drawn Blade is fantastic. You can do the Sword of Seeking, but Drawn Blade is fantastic. Get the card draw, then it attacks for 3. Sabella is really good. She actually might be like a competitive playable card. You also get a new, so this is a new SR. This is another new SR found in RDO boosters. Templar of the Eternal, 4-cost 4/3. Class bonus, prevent all combat damage that will be dealt to this, so really hard to kill. And then class bonus, you can pay 2, return a Regalia you control to its owner's material deck, put a buff counter on this, and it gains Spell Shroud until end of turn. So once again, just really hard to kill. Making it a 5/4 with Spell Shroud is like disgusting. We also have a reprint of the Intangible Geist. This is a 4-cost 3/2. On enter, you can choose any amount of Regalia cards from your banishment and put them into your material deck. Great for Pantheon for a long game. And then class bonus, prevent all combat damage to be dealt to it. So yeah, it's a nice little one. It's not like a super expensive reprint, but it's nice to have. We also have a new SR, EX Wind. It's called Bolstering Tempest. It's a 2-cost slow action. This card costs 2 more to activate for each target beyond the first, and any amount of human allies get +3 until end of turn. So the first one just costs 3, and the next, or the first one, it costs 2 to give +3 to 1, and then it costs 4 to give +3 to 2, and yada yada. You know, costs 2 more for each additional one. It's a really nice pump. Yeah, if you have a lot of influence, this thing can do a ton of damage. And then we have our Pantheon exclusive cards. So one of them is the Altruistic Blacksmith. I really like this one. It's a 3-cost 1/3 with Intercept. And then class bonus on enter, each player summons a cheap sword token, and then you gain Crowd's Favor. So the cheap sword token is just a 1/1 sword. So here's the cheap sword token. This is a 1-cost 1/1. So everyone gets one of these. Funny thing to note, they only put 3 of these in the Pantheon deck. I think they meant to put 4, because it's each person, not each other player. It's each player. So you get one too. So in a 4-player game, you need 4 cheap sword tokens. And I don't think they did it for like print reasons, because the Arasana deck comes with 10 extra copies of Cosmic Bolt, right? So they could have put an extra cheap sword in. I actually just think they forgot. I think it was just an oversight. But this card is really good. Put this in all of your Pantheon warrior decks. We also have Unity's Gale, a 2-cost fast cleric spell reaction. Target ally gets +3 until end of turn, and then or +3 health until end of turn. At the beginning of the next end phase, if that ally is damaged and you don't control it, you gain the Crowd's Favor status. So basically, if you save something, you get Crowd's Favor, which is nice. Yeah. That's pretty good. If you save something you don't control. And then there's the Charm of Anticipation that I already talked about, that I think most Pantheon decks will want a copy of this. I kind of wish they put this in all of the decks, because I think most decks are going to want this. This is the 0 cost, banish it, draw a card, activate it only if you have Crowd's Favor. It's really good. It's Crowd's Favor GCR, the Crowd's GCR. It's a good one. Let's talk about Xander next. Xander kind of got the least amount of SRs. Not all the decks got the same number of SRs, as you'll see. So we have a new card with the Photic Blade. It is a 1-cost 3/2. It gets +1 for each refinement counter on it, and whenever you recover, put a refinement counter on it. Note, refinement counter is not the same as durability counter. But if you heal a bunch, like multiple instances of healing, this thing could get so big, and this can just kill people. Once again, not Pantheon only. You could put this in Constructed, which is kind of wild. I think this card's pretty sweet. We also have Elian Luster Loyalty, another brand new unique ally. Once again, not Pantheon exclusive, comes in booster packs. It's a 4-cost 2/2 with stealth, or class bonus stealth. Class bonus, whenever you recover an amount, she gets +X until end of turn, where X is that amount. If X is 4 or more, she also gains unblockable. Also another nice way to kill people. And she's really cute. I like this card a lot. We also have Strike of Singularity. This is another brand new card. So Xander got like a lot of brand new SRs. This is another brand new one that you can find in Radiant Origins. 4-cost, 4 attack. It's an attack Assassin Dagger. Class bonus. As long as the attacker is attacking a unit controlled by a player with no cards in their hand, Strike of Singularity has, if this attack would deal damage, it deals double that damage instead. I feel like this is a fixed version of like Coup de Grace, right? It's almost the same costs, but it's a better way to just like deal double damage. So you have to attack a unit controlled by a player with no cards in their hand. So if you're attacking your opponent, they have no cards in their hand, this can deal double damage. So any way to like pump this up, oh, you're gonna be like, I don't know, like Assassin's Ripper or something like that. Have it come in with an additional +3, so 7, double that, 14. I don't know, it's pretty sweet. There's no prep on this, but you have to make sure your opponent has no cards in hand. But good thing Xander has a built-in way to force cards out of your opponent's hand, because at the beginning of your Reco phase, you reveal cards in your memory, and for each Luxem card, your opponents have to put a card from their hand down into the memory. So, I don't know. This could be a new finisher for Luxem Xander. So, another SR. Really sweet. And then we have the old finisher for Luxem Xander, Lightweaver's Assault. This is just how Lux Xander won the game. This is an absolute staple. I'm not sure of like the monetary value of this card right now, but if you play Lux Xander, you need 4 copies of this card. So here you go. Yeah, that's great. This is actually a really, really good reprint. Probably the best reprint they did for this. So yeah, Lightweavers is fantastic. And then we also have the 2 Proxy's Vault cards. So we have Xander Deft Executor, which is one of the first Proxy's Vault cards they ever did, which is fantastic. He's just really, really good. It's the version of level 2 Xander that you play. We also got the Insignia of the Korhazi, also fantastic. Nice little prep generation and some little card draw for Xander, but this was a Proxy's Vault version. Just wanted to point it out. And then we have our 2 other Pantheon exclusive cards. So we have the class bonus Assassin one. This is Covert Manipulator. It's a 3-cost 2/2. Class bonus on enter. Look at the top card of each opponent's deck. Then you can choose an opponent. If you do, you get the crowd's favor. That opponent draws a card, and each of their opponents put the top card of their deck into the graveyard. So basically how this works is you look at everyone's decks, and you pick one person to draw, everyone else mills, and you get crowd's favor. It's actually really sweet. I like this one a lot. Gonna go in my Tristan deck for sure. And then we have Tenderheart Guard. This one's also another great one that everyone always likes seeing this card played. It's a 2-cost 1/3 on enter. Each player may discard a card, and then every player that does draws a card into their memory, and then you gain the crowd's favor. Great, everyone discards a card and draws a card, but they don't have to. So yeah, this is another great one. Probably put this in all your fire decks for Pantheon. Yeah, very, very cool. I guess we'll put this new card on the top here. And then finally we have Kongming. Kongming also didn't get a ton of SRs like Xander, but you got more than Xander. Like, as you saw, we only got, if you just have the raw number of super rares here, we got 4. We basically just got the 4, right? Because none of these are SR. We got the 4 that that are not part of the other 12, right? That everyone gets. So everyone gets these 12, and there's a couple SRs in here, right? We get the Pendant and the Sanctified Paladin, but I'm not counting those. So Xander only basically got 4, but I think his are actually really good. So there's that. Kongming has a little bit more. So we have Kongmings. So Kongming has 1 more. She has 5, and they're all Terra Element, except for obviously the ones that come in all the decks. So we have the Vernal Talisman, 0 cost, additional cost to materialize this card, banish 2 preserved cards from your material deck, on enter, draw a card, and then you can use it and empower 3, and the next time you'd activate an empowered Terra Element spell this card, this turn, empower or recover 1. So yeah, that's a nice little one. And they also have the Coronal of Rejuvenation. 1 cost, as additional cost to materialize this card, banish a preserved card from your material deck. On enter, banish any amount of spell cards from your graveyard, and then you can activate this, or I should say you can rest this, and you can play a card banished by this card. Activate this only at slow speed. So it's kind of like a nice little, card engine. We also have a reprint of Planar Abyss. This is a no-brainer for Pantheon. It just says at the beginning of your next recollection phase, destroy all non-champion objects, and if your shifting currents face south, deal 10 damage to each champion you don't control. Yeah, it's nuts. It also has efficiency, but this one's nuts. Obviously, slam dunk for Pantheon. And we also have a new card, Verter of Preservation. These next 2 cards are kind of super big-brained, and that's why I said this deck is very big-brained. It's a 3 cost, Kongming bonus. Whenever your shifting currents change to facing the next clockwise direction, reveal the top card of the deck and put it into your material deck preserve. This is a unique Fantasia Mage spell. So it also says you can pay 3 and sack it and empower X, where X is twice the amount of preserve cards in your material deck. Activate this only if there are 5 or more preserve cards in your deck. So this just builds up to a huge preserve or huge empower turn. So you get a bunch of preserve stuff and you get a big empower turn. And then we do have a massive payoff with the Flourishing Key, or Chi, Key, one of those. It's a 4 cost slow mage action spell. Whenever your shifting currents change from facing any direction to north, while this card's activation is on the effect stack, put 4 charge counters on that activation. And then deal level plus X damage to target unit, where X is the amount of charge counters on this card's activation. So essentially what you do is you play this, and you play a bunch of fast speed stuff to quickly shift your currents, and then you change your shifting currents from like north to west, back and forth, because you get to change the direction whenever you activate a spell card from her for effect. So that's kind of what you do. You play this, and then play a bunch of your low cost fast speed stuff, and you do your shifting currents thing, and then you blow someone up. Yeah, it's strong. It killed me. It killed me. Then we also have Samaritan's Reach. I think we already talked about this one. Yeah, this one was in the Ari deck. This one deals 3 damage to an attacking ally you don't control, and if it's attacking a unit, or if it's an ally is attacking a unit you don't control, you get the crowd's favor. So if you help someone out, you get the crowd's favor. And then we have the Tenderheart Guard. This is another one that we saw before. This says each player can discard a card, and the player that each player can discard a card, and if they do, they draw a card into the memory, and then you gain crowd's favor. Once again, really sweet. And so yeah, that's kind of all of the SRs and all of the Pantheon exclusives across all of these decks. Once again, each deck comes with a bunch of absolute staples. Like, I think these are some of the big ones that all the decks come with, and it's great that they all come with them. And there's a bunch of other just like nice. Actually, this one too. This one too. I think it's like these 4 are the big ones that all the decks come with. And so that's great. So there is a lot of like consistency. Like when you buy this, you kind of have a good idea of what you're going to be getting into, and the kind of cards that you're going to be have access to. And the last thing I want to reiterate is that I think these are a great starting point into both Grand Archive and Pantheon, especially if you want to play Pantheon, right? Or I guess specifically if you want to play Pantheon. These decks, I don't think they are underpowered, but I think a lot of them lack a high density of finishers. Like Xander, for example, I had a really hard time closing out games with Xander without just kind of like, drawing into your Strike of Singularity and hoping someone didn't have cards in their hand or something like that, or hoping you had enough Lux cards to reveal to force cards out of hand. I think out of all these decks, I had the most fun playing with Arasana. Arasana has like the best win condition, and that's just Cosmic Bolts, right? Shuffle in your 10 Cosmic Bolts with your Polaris, and yeah, it's a blast. I think Ari is the one that I enjoyed playing the most, but I know that, you know, friends, some people enjoyed Kongming, Lorraine. I really enjoyed Xander as well. But I think the overall thing about these is you're definitely going to want to upgrade win cons. That's kind of like the big thing. So I'd be looking out for win cons from Radiant Origin, maybe all of each champion's like ultimate spells. I think that's what I'd more or less keep an eye on in terms of upgrades, because I think they're a great starting point. Obviously, you can upgrade them even more. You can kind of take them in different directions, but the big thing is finishers. You want more finishers to close out the game, because like I said, the precons take about like a couple hours on average to finish games. So yeah, especially when people like don't let Arasana just kill everyone, because I do think Ari is some of the most fun. So yeah, that's my review and all of my deep opinions on Pantheon. I really love this format. I cannot wait to play more. I'm going to be building a lot of decks. I'm probably going to be doing a lot of Pantheon content here on the channel. I hope people like it as much as I do, and I hope it does well, because I want to talk about it and make videos. So the better it does, the more I'll do. So let me know what you think about all this stuff in the comment section down below. Thank you for being here and for watching. Maybe hype the video if you'd like to do so, and I'll see you next time for some more card game content.